If you're going to do a whiteout, you have to contact 2 franchises first to get permission. You're going to have to go to Penn State. You call the Winnipeg Jets. We want to do a whiteout. How do we do it? Hot take. These jerseys that they're wearing on Sunday are hideous. I think they went to UB and found them in a closet somewhere in the sports department at UB. They were the ugliest jerseys I have seen.
To another edition of the Rockpile Report podcast. I'm your host, Bill, season ticket holder Drew Gear. That's my producer, Chris Kruger. And I got to tell you, I opened up tonight when I got here, pre-show, we were doing these stadium shandies, Chris, might be one of the worst things I've ever had.
They've been in there since July.
I'm a guy who's had Malort. Okay, I've had Malort grace my taste buds. For those of you who don't know, it is a floral liqueur that's flavored with wormwood, kind of like absinthe, straight out of Chicago. And it's bad, but this is somehow worse because it's trying to, like, Malort makes fun of itself, knowing that it's terrible. Mr. Boston's a booze that lets you know exactly what it is by presenting itself in a plastic bottle. You're not expecting anything, are you?
No.
This is a product known by a reputable brewery, the Labatt folks, and it comes stadium shandy. They're trying to play off the fact that, well, Bills fans might get excited about the football season and drink it. Chris, it's awful. It's perfumey.
Yeah, it's a shandy. What did you expect?
Yeah, but even by shandy standards, this is disgusting. I need a real beer. Ugh. So I tried to, I unboxed one of these shandies. It was terrible. But what else I have here to open up the show, I have to open up something else. You see, guys, unboxing, trying new things, finding out what's inside something for the first time can be exciting. For me, in the shandy situation over here, it was terrible. But for me and Chris here, I got a package. Do you know who it's from, Chris?
Terry Pagula.
The Buffalo Bills ticket office at One Bills Drive. It's heavy. I can't hear anything rattling around in it. I think it's that elusive season ticket holder gift they've been, depriving us of for the last decade and a half.
It's a 5% off at the team store.
For those of you who don't understand a lot of the snark, and I know that on Twitter sometimes me and our friend Ryan Lasel from Rock Sports Network will get into it about this. No team, or at least ownership group, has dropped the ball in terms of fan appreciation and PR worse than Terry Pagula and Pagula Sports and Entertainment. Don't believe me, just ask any Sabres fan. There was once a alumni event at the arena where they got the jerseys for the alumni from China. They couldn't even spring for real stitch jerseys. Some of them were blatantly knockoffs, and a couple of them had misspellings. Like, that's unforgivable for a professional organization.
It is. As a Bandit season ticket holder one year, I got 2 free tickets for a Sabres game, and I think I watched them lose to Nashville when Carter Hutton was good. So that was fun. When you get lacrosse season tickets and they gift you 2 Sabres tickets with your seasons for lacrosse.
Over the last few years, we as Bills fans have had to sit by knowing we have, one of the cheapest stadiums in the NFL, and knowing that there's a new stadium coming, knowing that our tickets are cheap, knowing that our concessions are expensive and relatively non-existent. It was for love of the game that we're doing this season ticket holder thing for. But it's hard when you're watching teams like Vegas send their season ticket holders cool shit, right?
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs this year sent out a neon light to all their ticket holders.
Even Mark Davis is poor as shit, and he sends his season ticket holder people things.
And people keep reminding us, it's all baked into your ticket price. You're paying for that. I don't care. I don't care. When you live in a luxury building and you have a doorman and he says hi to you every day, he's not saying hi to you because he genuinely cares or likes you. He's saying hi to you because you're paying for that. Doesn't it still feel nice? It does. So with that said, it seems like the Buffalo Bills finally threw us a bone here. Chris, I wanted to wait until tonight to open it. So the unboxing for this thing, I wanted to share it with you guys. So I opened the box, and this is the first thing I see. Nice. It's clean. It's kind of depressing. I like how clean that farewell season logo is, but I hate it because I know what it means. This is a really nice kind of heavy cardstock placard that I think we'll find someplace here in the studio. And let's get this off the table. And for the people who are only listening on audio, this has to be the most boring as shit thing. Go to YouTube and find it, guys.
Yeah.
And while you're there, subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Buffalo Bills season ticket member in a box. Chris, everything looks pretty clean so far.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Drum roll, please. The front magnetized. Nice. All right. This is really cool. All right. So if you take a look at this, first, Chris, I want to show you the inside lid.
Does it have your name on it?
Okay.
Yep.
Get that nice and in the shot there for people.
I mean, nobody can read the end
Nope.
of it.
On the lid of the box, it says, Ralph, we're moving across the street. We're going to build a stadium here, and we're going to tear down a stadium over there that's full of memories.
That's an even better shot.
So we need you to fill this stadium with more memories and continue our legacy. We should remember the past, but embrace the building of our future. You know who said that?
Ralph Wilson.
It wasn't Mark Twain. It wasn't Hemingway.
Mary Wilson.
It was allegedly Terrence Pagula, and I'm not going to lie to you. I don't believe that for a second. I've heard his interviews. I've heard them. I do not believe that for a second. And inside the box is this. And I think this is really cool. A wood cutout exterior and interior, like overhead view of the stadium. Is this now see, like, this is something cool you can throw up. I like the wood look, right?
Yep.
Like Chiefs fans got a neon light. I think this is classier. This could go, this doesn't just have to go like in your sports den or your basement bar in your house. This could go somewhere nice.
eBay for $300.
That is really cool. And there's so much detail in this. It's like, I'm afraid to keep touching it because I don't want to break it.
And you don't want to open it.
I definitely don't want to open it right now. I think
At
that's
all.
a terrible idea.
That was cool. They finally sent us something.
That's cool. We finally got an attaboy. Do you know that they sent us an email in the offseason that was like, hey, not even like a football, but a picture of a football to say, hey, guys, thanks for buying in for the 2025 season. That's where we had reached with this team. I think that's a cool gesture, and I think it's a really cool keepsake. Cheers to everybody else who got one, and for those of you who didn't, I don't know. Maybe you'll get a free coffee after one of these games. Chris, they're apparently giving out towels this week.
Oh, really?
Their
Rally
own
towels.
70,000 rally towels are going to be handed out at this week's game.
They're going to be white?
They will be, to stick with the whiteout theme. And here's what's funny, guys. Ahead of the game, as we get into the just all the talk and the preview portion of tonight's podcast, to go with a winter theme. Oh, we're going to white the place out. It's going to look like a snowstorm. Isn't it fitting it's going to be like 78 degrees?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's actually a blessing in disguise for the marketing approach, because what would happen if they actually waited until it was snowy? They're like, oh, everybody wear white. We're going to white the stadium out. How many people do you know who own a white jacket?
Not a lot.
Like, the last time I saw a man wearing a white jacket was in the movie Dodgeball. It was White Goodman. I don't know that I've ever actually seen that with my own two eyes. Have you?
No, if you're going to do a whiteout, you have to contact two franchises first to get permission. One, and Terry's got the connections, you're going to have to go to Penn State and go, hey, we want to do a whiteout. How do we do it properly? And if Penn State doesn't answer the phone, you call the Winnipeg Jets in the NHL. And you go, hey, we want to do a whiteout. How do we do it? None of our fan base owns white jackets.
Nobody here knows what this is about.
But hot take. These jerseys that they're wearing on Sunday are hideous.
Yeah, I don't like them.
They're disgusting. I think they went to UB and found them in a closet somewhere in the sports department at UB. They are the ugliest jerseys I have seen. And
in post, I want you to get a picture of them on screen.
All right. Yeah, they're ugly. They look like they came from UB. I told Pat Cleary on Sunday.
Everybody kept going, oh, these are so clean. I go, what does that mean?
They're
what is this
ugly.
new age term of it's so clean? It's white. It's white with silver and flecks of blue on white. And the first, you're going to have it on for 45 minutes and some idiot's going to walk into you with a chicken wing and ruin your whole night. I've seen it happen. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, they're ugly. I mean, you can go with the second hot take that this is like our least division rival that we're playing against, the New England Patriots.
Somebody's got to step up to the table, Chris.
My hot take is ranking our AFC East rivals. It would go Dolphins 1, Jets 2, Colts 3, Patriots 4. You can't be considered a rivalry if we only beat them 3 times while they had Brady. And then since quarterback roles have reversed and we have the quarterback, I mean,
now we're just pummeling them.
We're pummeling them. They beat us, last week of the season last year because we had everything wrapped up. We played in the playoffs one time, so you have no playoff history with them.
Oh, no,
and
it was
the perfect game.
We embarrassed them.
And that was actually the last time they've been to the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is something of a hot take, but you know what? I think it's defensible because I have far worse takes, and I defend the hell out of those. I'll get behind you there, Chris. But they're trying to I think everyone who's behind this stuff has seen the writing on the wall, and they understand that the Miami Dolphins are now just going to have to tear that thing down. So they're trying everything they can to find a new in-division rival, and the Patriots appear to be the team on the upswing to do it. I can't wait to get into tonight's preview, but before we do, guys, the tailgate. Chris, you got a menu for the folks at home?
Oh, yeah. It's his tailgate of the year because Palmer's is coming.
Guys, I'm actually really proud to be sharing our tailgate space this weekend with Palmer's Direct-to-You Market and the Palmer's Distribution brand. They're going to be over there at Dock Slot 4180 Abbott Road. They're going to be sharing the space with us while me and Iman put on an absolute show this week. I'm making the Gordon Ramsay Ultimate Steak Sandwich in slider form, perfect for a tailgate. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's going to be cherry smoked tenderloin with the Q42 the beef rub on it, served with a heirloom tomato and basil relish that you make straight hot in a pan. You cook it down till it's and I'm going to do a giant batch of it right there in front of everybody, but I'm going to bring enough because, Chris, I make like a quadruple batch every time I do it, and I put it on burgers, sandwiches, dip bread in it. It's amazing. You throw a little bit of that together. We're going to have sides. We're going to have all kinds of stuff. What else do we got? A flank steak, crostini.
Yep.
Blue cheese crumble, little balsamic glaze. Guys, it doesn't get much better than this. And then we're lucky enough to be joined by the folks from Palmer's Market. You guys know them. You love them. Palmer's Market over at 900 Jefferson Road in Rochester. The oldest family-owned business in Rochester. And for some reason, they love us. I can't wrap my head around it, but hey, you know what they say about gift horses and mouths and all that? I just love partnering with these guys, with the Grills Mafia stuff, the Q42 stuff, and now they're going to be at our tailgate, so make sure you stop by this weekend. Chris, what do you think? We'll be out there by like 9:30?
I don't know.
I've got a wedding the night before, so This is going to get rocky.
You know, I'm picturing Palmer's being out there with Iman cooking, and I just have some vision in my head of you being like John C. Reilly in Step Brothers, you know, at the Catalina wine mixer. You're the John C. Reilly cook.
You know what? I like that analogy. But guys, in the meantime, this week in the run up to football on Sunday night, make sure you stop by Palmer's and see everybody over there. My girl Kaylee, she'll be wandering around. That Silver Fox Fred cruising the floor. If you see him, give him a two-handed high five for me. Premium products at fair prices. That's your Palmer's promise. And with that, we launch into this week's Week 5 preview. New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. Your time, 8:20 p.m. kickoff. The place, Ralph Wilson Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. The weather is going to be another gorgeous mid-70s day. It's going to feel like the 80s when you tailgate, and then it's going to cool off as soon as the sun sets. And by kickoff, you're going to feel right at home in hoodie and shorts, which is the most elite combination of like fan uniform of all time. If you can get away with a hoodie and shorts, you're living the dream. The line on this, Chris, Bills 7.5-point favorites. Take the opponent with the points.
Yeah, Bills haven't covered the last 2 weeks.
I am up 300 units because the Bills cannot cover against their opponents. And this just screams like it's another one of those lines, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A touchdown and change?
You would never want to take more than a touchdown with a divisional opponent.
No, this is chaos. Stop doing this. But hey, you want to put money in my wallet, Vegas, you're more than welcome to keep forking it over to me. The injuries to watch this week, thanks to our friends over at bangedupbills.com, I know that we came away from last week's game relatively unscathed. I'll be interested to see what they do with some of the guys. Like I know Terrell Bernard got his foot stepped on. I know that a couple of the guys, what was it, Alec Anderson, late in the game when they go for that field goal, something happened to his shoulder and he had to put on like a shoulder harness. We'll see if that manifests itself into anything this week throughout practice, if he's limited. But otherwise, other than Bills Burr, Chris, he got demolished again.
Yeah.
That guy's a contact magnet. I feel bad for him. He toughed it, but look at what a stud that guy is. He toughs it out till the end of the game and comes out and holds for the late field goal.
That's what we need him for.
Other than that, we walked away relatively unscathed. So now you're just looking at the guys who missed the last game. Ed Oliver, the defensive tackle with his ankle and foot. Matt Milano with his pec injury and Spencer Brown with his calf. Ed's missed 3 games. Milano has now missed 2, and Spencer Brown missed the Saints game. But yesterday, McDermott said he's optimistic. Okay? He said he's optimistic. They're all trending in the right direction, which could be huge for the Bills if we can get all of those guys back for this game. And the Patriots really have nothing to note, right? They have no major injuries, which means they also have no major excuses, correct?
Yes.
Whatever happens here happens. And I find this matchup fascinating because you're here, Chris, telling me all about how they're not our rivals. Like, this is not a rivalry game.
No, it's not.
And to a certain extent, I could see that. But think about like the other rivalry games I've seen where they're like, oh, we're going to have specialized uniforms for them. Wasn't one of them last night?
Oh, yeah, Jets and Dolphins, which is an actual rivalry.
Those Dolphins uniforms sucked too.
Yeah, I didn't like them. Jets were clean.
Are the Seahawks and Cardinals really rivals to that degree?
I don't know. I'd actually have to go back and look because I believe there was a point in time where the Seahawks were in the AFC. So I don't know how.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
There's Alexa. Thank you.
It's always fun when you're doing a podcast and Alexa just jailbreaks in, like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah.
So I think about this matchup and I question who are, I've in the run up to this while I'm trying to do some research on our opponent this week. It's just, what are the Patriots? Who are they? What makes them tick as a football team? And the first thing that you come away with, you start listening to opponents' podcasts. Tom Curran from over at NBC happens to be one of my favorites. I think that the way you could define the Mike Vrabel return to the Patriots is that he's brought back seriousness to the Patriots organization.
Correct.
He's brought back a very old school kind of throwback mentality. Not nearly as hyperbolic as the one that Dan Campbell showed up in Detroit with, but definitely a throwback in the sense that he's not out here saying a bunch of things. When some of the guys like Ben Johnson, I think about him, for instance, when he steps to the microphone and he's he's giving fiery speeches and he's animated and he's trying to show off charisma. Mike Vrabel just gets to the microphone and goes, Yeah. Yeah, so our team, we did really good today. Oh, yeah, our team won. Yeah, it was a really good. They blow out the Panthers, and he comes to the microphone, and you wouldn't have known the difference between whether they won or lost, because he's just serious about the game of football, and you can see some of that starting to matriculate its way down to the rest of the organization.
Yeah, because I heard that after the Steeler game where they had 4 turnovers, no one was allowed to shoot dice on the plane.
Yeah, it is funny, some of the stuff you see, and you go, oh, well, how did you guys think that this was going to end well? For any NFL team. Or you hear about things like, look at what's going on in Miami right now. I don't think you could find a more polar opposite of a head coach to Mike McDaniels than Mike Vrabel. I think they exist on 2 completely different planets. And you're seeing a team that, even though they're getting this, Chris, they're getting similar results. I want to believe in one of them more than the other, right?
Yeah.
Because one of them seems like they're doing something sustainable, something they can actually build off of. And the other one just seems like it's a lot of buzzwords and quirky nonsense that really stops being cute the second you start really losing football games. So with that, you got to look at the organization he's building here, because they're 2-2. And in that 2-2 start, they've had some lackluster performances. It's not all, hey, we hit the ground running and everything went well. They've bounced back and pinballed between losses and wins. Yeah, they lost to the Raiders, Chris, which I think we can all agree the Raiders look awful.
Yeah, I got in a survivor pool this year. That was my first pick, Patriots over the Raiders.
They gave up 333 yards passing to future Hall of Famer Geno Smith. That's a rough one. That's a tough one to swallow. And you start questioning how some of these things have happened to them. Well, part of it's, Chris, because they're still trying to build a roster. Like, you look at their offense, for instance. Their offense has its ups and downs, which we're going to spend a healthy chunk of tonight talking about. But their wide receiver core is Stephon Diggs and Mac Hollins, Kayshon Boutte, and then a bunch of guys who I don't know have spots on a lot of other teams. You know?
Yeah. Kyle Williams, 3rd-round pick. A lot of people wanted him in Buffalo this year.
So far, hasn't really produced much. I mean, when you look at the season that they're having here from their pass catchers, he's got 2 targets and 2 receptions for 20 yards. He's not a frequently used player, which is to be expected when you're a rookie trying to contribute right away. Demario Douglas, like when you really start breaking into the numbers behind their team, it's not shocking, Chris, that Hunter Henry's pacing them all in targets, is it?
Yeah, that checks out.
Okay, it's Stephon Diggs next because he is your de facto number 1 wide receiver. And Kayshon Boutte is probably is it Booty? Is it Boutte? I don't know. Either way, it looks Cajun, the way it's spelled.
Yeah, Boutte.
That's how I'm going to say it. I've committed now. And it's telling that beyond those 3, Travion Henderson is the next closest player in terms of targets. So the wide receiver core of this team it's not out there trying to impress anybody. I don't think they're going to fool anybody into believing that they're one of the NFL's deeper or more talented units. And so you can see that sometimes they're scoring, look, they score 13 and then they score 33 against the Dolphins. And then they score 14 against Pittsburgh, but then they score 42. And you go, okay, well, this is really up and down. Well, look at the talent.
Well, I think they turned the ball over 4 times against the Steelers.
They did.
So you're not scoring points there.
Their offensive line is still coming together. And while it does have guys like Will Campbell who have looked good, Will Campbell's looked good. Jared Wilson, he's a rookie and taken in the 3rd round, but he's starting at guard. Garrett Bradbury is good. Michael Wenwu is good. Morgan Moses is old as shit. I don't know, Chris, you get into a place where you go, okay, this is passable. And this is the type of performance I would expect from a team that's built like this. But the fact that they are in every game and have yet to really be boat raced by anyone, that's a leg up from where they were last year. On the other side of the ball, go down to the defense. Just in terms of the makeup of this, they spent a bunch of money on Milton Williams. They spent a bunch of money trying to go out and fill some of these holes. And they brought in free agent talent, Harold Landry, because they knew they needed pass rush. They've added pieces. Carlton Davis, they paid him like, I think he was Chris, wasn't he one of the bigger cornerback contracts of the offseason?
I think so.
Because the Patriots had money to spend.
Yeah. They spent a lot of it on Milton Williams.
It's interesting what they're getting for that. Do you know right now in terms of scoring, they're ranked both 10th on offense and 10th on defense? Would that surprise you if I told you about this year's New England Patriots?
Yes.
Because you know why it surprises you? Because there aren't pundits screaming about, trying to make the Patriots their hot take of the week. The reason the casual football fan doesn't care so much about the New England Patriots is mostly because they're a younger, up-and-coming team that people aren't taking seriously yet. And at the same time, the football results that they're able to get, well, from, over the course of a game may have its ups and downs. By and large, it's much more competitive than anyone wants to give it credit for. But because of the youth of the quarterback, at least this is what I think, because of the youth of the quarterback, and because they haven't seen the Patriots be a serious organization in at least 3 or 4 years, they're less inclined to believe that it can happen. So with that, you look at where they are in terms of defense. Chris, do you know that they're in the top 5 for every single defensive rushing statistic?
That's impressive.
4th in attempts against, 2nd rushing yards allowed, 3rd best in touchdowns allowed, 2nd best in yards per attempt, which I think is the more important statistic. So when you do run, teams don't do it well. I think that a lot of this lines up well for the Patriots ahead of this Bills game when you consider what our defense is, because on the flip side, when teams throw the ball against the Patriots, they've been able to find a lot of success. I keep making fun of it, but I don't know how you Chris, think about it this way. A quarterback in the NFL throwing 8.5 yards per attempt is a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
Guys who float around 6, you go, okay, that's average. You're average. That makes sense. You'll see a lot of guys' statistics dip like that when they're under pressure. If you're throwing close to 10, that's like Hall of Fame level execution. That's where Geno Smith was able to get to against this Patriots secondary. They have some horses, and it'll get better, given that they did just get Christian Gonzalez back. Him with Carlton Davis gives them legitimate outside cornerback play. It's just that everything in its totality is still trying to come together for them as a roster. So defensively, it's not like they're without warts. Offensively, it's not like they don't have limitations. But I go back to this, Chris. In terms of scoring, points against, they're in the top 10. Points for on offense, they're in the top 10. That doesn't sound like a team you should be sleeping on, does it?
No.
So you start to look at how they got here. And I point to Josh McDaniels, which is funny because I've pointed at him a lot over the years, but it's usually been to laugh, like Nelson Muntz. Just say what you want about what a terrible head coach this guy was. He's an offensive coordinator who's had a ton of success in the NFL. With the Patriots, he's doing a lot of what we saw him do with Mac Jones in the run-up to them and the aforementioned playoff game. That was the last time the Patriots were relevant. He's installing game plans that help protect the kid, their young quarterback, from himself and keep them involved in games. Because an example here, he only had that blowout, Chris, against the Panthers. When you see 42 points on the board, you probably assume that Drake May had himself a day, right?
I mean, looking at what the Patriots do, and he's in, his 2nd year, I would still think, knowing Vrabel, he would want to run the ball. So I would think he had a hell of a rushing day before I think of Drake May throwing all over the yard.
17 pass attempts. They only threw the ball 17 times. Now, some of that is game script because you get up big and you start taking the air out of the ball. But by and large, they have done a really good job of really trying not to expose Drake May, and instead crafting a game plan that has layups built into it for the kid, and that also it keeps him, from having to make mistakes, at least early. You go to the Pittsburgh game, Chris, 37 passing attempts, and it got away from him, didn't it? 5 sacks, a fumble, an interception. Like, it doesn't go well when you put too much on the kid's plate. So the following week, they go, okay, new game plan. We go back to what we were doing the last week, and it kind of worked, and hopefully we don't have to go back to the well again. Josh McDaniels is doing a really good job of that. They're churning on offense. Now, they're still not explosive, but that's fine. You know, they're using a lot of pre-snap motion. One of the things they do, Chris, is pre-snap jet motion, and they use that to help the kid identify the coverage. Like, think about how long we had to wait to get an offensive coordinator for Josh Allen that understood to do that for him.
Rick Dennison.
Rick Dennison got fired because he wasn't good enough for Tua. Who do we have first? Who was Josh Allen's first offensive coordinator? 2018, it was Brian Daboll, right?
That checks out.
So you had Brian Daboll there, and slowly, like 2020, you started to see like the pre-snap stuff where they were like, oh, Josh can throw. All right, let's open up the playbook. Let's give him some stuff. They're doing it in the opposite direction where they're like, hey, we're going to incorporate motions and things to make your detection of the coverages easier. And it's paying dividends for them. Yeah. And then they're coming out with these game plans that are specifically built to the weaknesses of their opponent, which is something that we as a fan base need to be prepared for because our defense has not shown up over the last month of football. And Josh McDaniel can at least craft a game plan that can exacerbate that. You know, a game where what was it? I think it was Hunter Henry here. What did he have? Hunter Henry had against the Steelers. 90 receiving yards on 11 targets. Chris, there's not a single other player on the team that saw more than 4 targets, but Hunter Henry got 11 targets for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Steelers, and he's the reason they were able to be in it. Well, it's because they went into it knowing, hey, the Steelers stink at covering tight ends so far this season. Let's run a lot of 2 tight end sets. We're going to get Austin Hooper out there for a ton of snaps. And even though he's only going to chip in as a complimentary receiver, we're going to go over 100 yards with our tight end room, and we're going to be able to do it because this is a blatant deficiency of the opponent's defense. And it almost worked. If it wasn't for 5 turnovers, Chris, they probably win that game against the Steelers with that game plan.
Yes.
So in that way, we as the Bills have to be prepared that the Patriots are going to come out with a game plan heavily skewed towards our statistical deficiencies. Running backs on swing passes to capitalize on just this otherworldly poor tackling that the Bills have been putting out there. How about the fact that Dorian Williams, whenever he's on the field, he's a guy who just hasn't been taking good angles of the football. Trust that McDaniel understands he can exploit that. And he's probably going to use their flotilla of running backs to get out there and try to get on our linebackers. It's just an example of why this team is dangerous. I mean, for this game, Chris, it's one of the reasons I'm imploring the Bills to roll out a dime package. Get Dorian Williams the hell off the field after first down. If Matt Milano's not ready to play, I don't want to see a world where I don't get a little bit of dime rolled out there. Dorian Williams playing as many snaps as he did this past week. Like, what are we talking about here? Let me check the number here. What do we got for snap count from this week? Here we go. Bills players, percentage. Dorian Williams played 84% of our snaps. It's like, was Jamarcus Ingram even active? What's happening here? Why wouldn't you want that guy available for you in that type of a game? It's stunning to me that we continue to do this. This is something that has worked in the past for the Buffalo Bills. And yet it's like Bobby Babich is dead set on not doing it. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It's incredibly frustrating to watch them go through this and watch them try to figure this out. And I don't know. This season, Dorian Williams is strong. I mean, everyone knew pre-draft Dorian Williams was not going to have strong coverage skills. Why the Bills are trying to pick now to teach him to cover is beyond me. I just think that we need to stop outsmarting ourselves in terms of personnel usage. But if we don't, I trust Josh McDaniels to find ways to pick on it. And that's why that 7.5 point line just seems crazy to me. And then, I mentioned earlier that I like Tom Curran. He was talking about quarterback Drake May after this week's victory. And he has kind of he's taking a wait and see approach to Drake May. You know, I think that there's something here where he says, here's the thing with Drake May. He gives you 70% of what an upper echelon quarterback, a good quarterback in the NFL gives you. He's a sophomore, admittedly, but 30% of those plays are just back-breaking decisions. And he points to a couple times over the course of the last 2 weeks where they were 1-1, where he gets flustered and just makes a poor decision. Now, to hear a seasoned journalist like Tom Curran talk about the state of things and talk about this sophomore quarterback, really salient point, really kind of a nuanced view of things. And then you have Patriots fans who are already off to the races. And I see that we are once again doing this thing that everybody loves to do when it comes to any quarterback who's new to the NFL, Chris, and having a little success. I'm already starting to see the graphics of, well, Josh Allen in his first 17 games versus Drake May in his first 17 games. Chris, can we both agree that it's
not the same?
It's intellectual dishonesty.
Yes.
But if you want to go ahead and make those things, you can do that all you want. It never ends well, does it?
No.
Mac Jones was the last one they were doing this with.
Yeah, and they'll do it with the next one.
So here's this tweet from Dom the Pats fan that's gone somewhat semi-viral. Drake May is the future of the NFL. He's already a top 5 quarterback in just 19 games, and sophomore slump doesn't exist for him. Mind you, we're in week 5. He's Josh Allen, but better. The difference is that the Patriots have a winning culture throughout history, and he will win in the big games that Allen falls short in. He's the future. I love that you have the Tom Currans of the world, and then you have these guys.
Yeah.
Who I know don't.
Idiots.
And I know they don't speak for all Patriots fans, right? But it is hilarious seeing that exists. But then you go from a tweet like that and you say, okay, but what is Drake May? Let me dig into him for a minute, because he's really going to be one of the major things that decides this game. I want to eschew the mudslinging for a second, take a more even-handed approach, okay? Before I get back to trashing the Patriots, remember we did that, Chris, the pettiest segment of all time?
Oh, yeah, with Mark Schofield.
It was the best, or like after we beat them in the playoff game and we just aired all of the radio bits,
yeah,
and all the people who called in to let them know they were full of crap. So when you look at the numbers, what you see is a quarterback who, if you keep him clean in the pocket, which happens about 67% of the time, shockingly, he's really good at staying composed and throwing down the field. When he's clean, he's got 7 touchdowns and a single pick, 8.2 yards per attempt, which is good, and an average depth of target at about 6.6, which, Chris, that's good because he's not forcing the ball, and it helps explain why he's got an 80% completion percentage when he's kept clean in the pocket on snaps. That's really good.
Checks out.
He's getting along with the offensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator is building layups into the offense, whether it's not dump offs, right? These aren't checkdowns. This is just pitch and catch for 3 yards and try to set your player up to get some yak. And if you can do that often enough, you stay ahead of the sticks. That's a huge part of what made Tom Brady successful.
Yeah, you would think.
We know it. We watched it. We suffered by it. He wouldn't come out and throw, take the Randy Moss season off the table for a minute. How many times did they just come out and club you to death with Julian Edelman, getting I'm going to throw a 4-yard pass and he's going to turn it into 7. And then that just turns into a first down, turns into a first down. And then they hit you with Gronk for 26 and he's in the end zone. And you go, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, then you leave the game.
We hit him on the 5.
Or you shut the game off. Stop watching Sunday Night Football 55-10. Or
That's
whatever.
it. It was just death by 1,000 paper cuts, and you could try. And they're trying to bring that back while protecting the quarterback. And if you blitz him and you don't get home, he's really good at working around that. Specifically, thanks to his athletic abilities both inside and outside of the pocket, and his NFL caliber pace of processing. He doesn't get tricked very often by a fire blitz and you drop a zone out on the backside. 4 touchdowns to no picks when you blitz him. 7.5 yards per attempt, generally speaking, because you've cleared out something at the second level that this offense has built in a release valve for. And 73% completion percentage. And he's only been sacked because of a blitz 5 times this year. Now, obviously, that's more than Josh Allen, but Chris, how many quarterbacks can avoid pressure like Josh Allen?
Not a lot, maybe 1 or 2.
He's a smart kid who makes good decisions most of the time. But listening to Tom's kind of, week over week, because every week I've been listening to his show after the Patriots games, and he's like, the problem is there's all this volatility in his game. And he's figured out how to iron out most of it. Now what we have to do is try to spread out the bad plays. Have a bad play, bounce back with a good one, you keep the offense on pace. It's when they start to bunch up on you, that's when things really come off the rails. And within that is the reason that they're 2-2. Because if you can get pressure on this quarterback who has done a lot of really great things here in his sophomore season, like Chris, if you just get pressure on him, right? Any snap where he's received a quote unquote pressure, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 13 sacks, and a 53% completion percentage. And his average depth of target skyrockets, okay, from 6.6 to 9.4. Which tells you that when he holds the ball, right? He's holding the ball, he's looking for something, and the pressure starts to get home, either out of necessity or because like we used to watch Josh do for all those years. When his first and second read disappear, now he's like, oh shit, the play's breaking down. My release valve's gone, my first read's gone, protection's not holding up. I'll just huck it down the field to somebody and hope that, like they did for me in college, someone's going to come up with a downfield ball. It's funny because in those under pressure situations, Chris, his time to throw is 3.7 seconds.
It's not too bad.
Do you know that that's 1.5 seconds longer than when he's kept clean and when he's on schedule? This is an offense that's built around the idea of not making Drake May do all the heavy lifting. And the problem is when you do, you see a quarterback who looks an awful lot like Josh Allen looked his rookie and sophomore season. And it doesn't mean you can't win with that quarterback. Josh Allen went 6-10 in his rookie year after being one of the most maligned quarterback draft prospects in a long time. And then in his sophomore season, we made the playoffs in 2019, even though Josh Allen wasn't otherworldly. He didn't have great games. In fact, I'm willing to bet if I go back to Pro Football Reference and I take a look at the Buffalo Bills stats from 2019, Chris, how many times, because figure it wasn't until 2020 that Josh had his first 300-yard game. So if we're looking at it through that lens, what do you think about the number of times, I don't know how my number lock keeps getting turned off on my laptop. These Windows updates, they got to stop, Chris. These computers suck.
But Windows is better than MacBook. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, well, they got to stop updating and including just nonsense that makes the user experience more frustrating to deal with and makes the computers less functional. Like random things just turn off on me. Everyone goes, oh, it's hardware related. Well, I don't know how to explain it other than that. Chris, in terms of passing yards, how many times do you think Josh threw for over 250 in 2019?
4 times.
3 times, including their playoff loss to the Houston Texans. You don't have to air it out, but the problem is that he, everyone talks about how great he looks today. The reality is Drake May is very much being helped by the pace of play, by the offensive coordinator, and by all the things that they're building into this for him. So if you have a defense whose secondary can make Drake May hold on to the ball, take away those early reads, and not give him a Josh Allen-esque escape route with his legs, you can create that negative 30% of plays required in order to force this Cinderella that is Drake May to turn into something of a pumpkin, statistically speaking anyway. If the Bills can find a way to do that, I think that for as improved as the Patriots are, we still have enough on hand, and we are still the better football team. And I think that they're still going to have enough. I mean, Chris, they took us 14-21 last year.
Okay, no one says that, but
14-21.
yeah.
I know. I do it because it bothers you. I love the look on your face. You look like you're having a stroke when I say it.
It bothers me when you say scores incorrectly.
They scored 14 to our 21 in the middle of a snowstorm.
Still doesn't work. It was 21-14 Patriots.
Bills. Yeah.
So now you got me fucked up on it.
So this isn't going to be a cakewalk. This is going to be a very difficult football game.
It's a division game. Should be within the 7.5. That is the line.
But if the secondary can force May into those situations where he has to hang on to the football and still kind of maintain him in the pocket, I think this defense is going to be capable of some things that surprise people. And that leads us into this week's Keys to Victory, brought to you by Triple Bogey.
Wow, that's a lot of keys. Bigger the keychain, more powerful the man.
It's going to be the connection and coverage. Okay, that's where I want to start with this. The connection and coverage between the safety level and the linebacker level is going to be huge for this matchup. I can guarantee you that they were paying attention this week. You know, when trying to map out, like, well, what is our game plan going to be against the Buffalo Bills? And you say to yourself, okay, well, who do we think we can pick on? Where do we think we can go with the football? First of all, Dorian Williams, number one with a bullet. Between him and Taron Johnson, they finished first and second in terms of yards allowed in coverage this week. And I know that those statistics can be skewed in a bunch of ways, but I don't think anyone would argue with me that Dorian Williams is a glaring problem in coverage. Again, you can eliminate some of this by playing in dime. But if they don't, and they do decide to stick with these nickel packages, I need Matt Milano. And if I don't have Matt Milano, then I need another plan as to how you're going to keep them from targeting him with their running backs and tight ends, because that will be a thing that they do. Travion Henderson running routes, it's important, right? Like, that's a thing you have to keep eyes on. Hunter Henry getting on Dorian Williams is your worst nightmare in coverage. I just need to see more connection between that safety group and the linebacker level to patrol that 8-yard window off the line of scrimmage and keep them from being able to, when they need it, you know, Chris, when it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 4, just getting those layups, throwing right into the middle of our secondary. We just can't have that. And if they can have the connection that we've seen them have in the past defensively, I think we're going to go a long way towards allowing us to get ahead of them on the scoreboard and force them to be more one-dimensional than they'd like to be, knowing that they want this game to flow through the running back room. My second key is going to be when we're on offense, heavy doses of play-action passing.
Do we even do that?
We do, actually, at a higher rate than we have in years past, which is nice to see. One of the things that has been kind of fueling our 30-plus point scoring over the course of the season so far, it's just people have to respect our wide receiver core. But at the same time, like, it leaves you so vulnerable to what the actual strength of our team is, which is the tight end room, Khalil Shakir, the running back room. That's the thing that's driving this offense. And there's not a lot of football teams that are specifically built to take those things away, at least not the way that we use them. Now, I'm sure there's coordinators who over time will scheme to that. So Joe Brady's going to have to be on his game. But it's using play action passing. Go back to the touchdown we scored in the game where Josh Allen pump fakes, and now all you have is defenders in conflict. Play action passing does that for you, and we should be doing it ad nauseum until this offense and these wide receivers can find their footing a little bit. I believe that there's a world where the Bills could come out and make this a wide receiver centric game, but I don't think you have to. I think this is one where you want to limit the number of times the Patriots get to touch the football. And so in that way, you're almost better served running it offensively through your tight end and through your running backs, who have been the secret sauce. That's what they've been for you over the early portion of the season, when none of your wide receivers has looked remarkable other than Khalil Shakir doing Khalil Shakir things. And even that, with our perimeter blocking, you could incorporate that into your game plan. And then it also could open up some downfield matchups for you. The Bills, contrary to popular belief, are not just out here playing small ball, as we talked about during the recap show. So it will bring up some shots for you. You just have to make sure that you've gotten the defense to buy into your small ball approach enough so that those land, because the wide receivers clearly cannot do the heavy lifting in terms of separation on their own. You do that, you present a very credible threat to a defensive team that is top 10 in scoring. And I don't think that's anything to sneeze at. The Buffalo Bills can't say that. We're 4-0, but we can't say that we've had the defensive success through 4 weeks that the New England Patriots have. And then the other piece of it's going to be situational football. And this is the measuring stick of coaches. This isn't even about quarterbacks. This is about how are you coached? How are you offensive coordinated? How are you defensive coordinated? How do you prepare throughout the course of a week? It's probably been one of the biggest improvements of the New England Patriots here this season. Last year, I can remember some really, really hilarious sequences for the New England Patriots. Like, they were atrocious for chunks of the year. There was games where you would watch them. Like, remember what was Gerard Mayo's one quote about? I believe Gerard Mayo was quoted towards the end of the year, kind of like Ricky Bobby, when they asked him about the maturation process and the install, and if he really got to like work on his players and develop the team the way he wanted to. And he was like, I had plans, and then the season, it just happened so fast, it got away from me. And he was like Ricky Bobby, being like, I don't know where to put my hands right now. They just keep finding their way into the frame.
I just thought he threatened Dante Scarnecchia over a game of dice. I could have seen that happen on the airplane.
I mean, it's bad. You want to talk about them? They were the 22nd ranked scoring defense for a reason. They were one of the worst rushing defenses for a reason. There's discipline that's been brought to this team in a single offseason, not just because they brought in Robert Spillane to kind of fill gaps better, or Harold Landry at defensive end, and they brought in Milton Williams to clog up the middle of the line. They're very intentional about how they're improving this team. And I think that you're going to have to be better in situational football, because it's the one place where the Patriots still have some growing to do. I go back to the Dolphins game where they almost lost. Hilariously, they managed to steal that game in Miami, which is traditionally a place the Patriots lose, isn't it?
Yeah. They usually lose at least one game in Miami.
Like, they've split with them a lot over the years, specifically in Miami.
It's that heat.
Maybe. But there's a sequence in that game where they go for it on fourth down, and it's just nonsense execution. They don't get it done, and it ends up blowing up in their face. There's the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers where they lost by a touchdown but turned the ball over 5 times. 5 times. When's the last time the Bills had 5 turnovers in a single game?
God, I feel like it's been a while. Maybe Peterman?
Now that you're saying it, that might be the last time.
Peterman, Chargers?
This Patriots team is one on the upswing. But in terms of their preparation and in terms of their situational execution, I think the Bills can be better. Now, I am the guy who screamed at the top of my lungs when I watched the Bills burn a timeout during a 2-point conversion attempt, Chris. I wanted to gouge out the eyes of everybody around me at that point, because they're like, what are you bitching about? You burned a timeout on a 2-point conversion attempt. You can't get organized for that. You need a timeout to discuss this. See, I'm getting wound up. I still think the Bills are the more poised team. They're the more pragmatic team. They're the more experienced team. I expect that in this sort of atmosphere, like we're going to run into on Sunday night, when it's real loud in there, a lot of times you're probably going to be working with a silent count. I just think that I like our ability to execute more, but they have to go out there and prove it. And if Mike Vrabel gets these boys together right? Gets these boys together, comes out, and they are buttoned up. They out-execute us in the small things. They will win the football game. And I mean, I guess that's low-hanging fruit. You could say that about every game. But this one specifically, because Mike Vrabel might be the best AFC East head coach candidate I've seen in this regard in a while. Mike McDaniel, even when he had the Dolphins winning and ahead of the Bills, that didn't make him any better in terms of his decision-making and in terms of their situational preparedness. Example, before the show, Chris and I were joking about how Mike McDaniel might make a really good offensive coordinator, but he needs someone to act as his filter, to filter out the bad ideas. Chris, what was the wrestling analogy you made?
I was like Vince Russo with Vince McMahon. So Vince Russo having a ton of ideas. Who
was Vince Russo for some of our listeners?
Vince Russo was a writer in the WWF, and then he went to WCW.
And became the guy.
But when he went to WCW, you found out, oh, this guy's got a lot of ideas, but one or two are good. Most are bad. He had to go through McMahon and McMahon filtered his ideas.
So when he worked for the WWF...
I'm going to take this shitty idea, because remember the Brawl for All?
Yep.
Where people were getting knocked out? It's because Bradshaw claimed to be like the toughest guy in the locker room, and then Vince Russo had the idea, why don't we do a Brawl for All, and then got that through McMahon, and it made it to TV. When that idea, Brawl for All, let's take it and we'll put it over here as a bad idea.
Hey, we're going to take this, we're going to take a sticker and put it on there that says terrible idea, and we're going to shove it back here on a shelf where no one can find it. The problem is that guy made it to the WCW, and what was one of his ideas? Pole dancing?
No, Judy Bagwell on a pole match. Like, he had no filter. He had nobody to filter his ideas. He was the man, so all his ideas made it to TV, and they were really bad.
There are things happening in that way. Mike McDaniel might someday make a really good head coach, but he's also the guy who goes, hey, Raheem Mostert at 102 yards rushing against the Bills in the first half. I've got a great idea. Let's only give him 2 carries in the second half. We've got the Bills right where we want them. We're going to zig when they zag, and the Bills are like, oh, wait, you're going to stop running the ball? Perfect. Comeback time. It's these types of things where there has not been a quality candidate at head coach for any of our division opponents in a while, and I think that Vrabel might be just composed enough. He doesn't have to do anything splashy. He doesn't have to say anything. He just show up and be a professional. He's brought professionalism and seriousness back to that organization. Now the question is, does he have the horses and can he organize them enough to out-execute Sean McDermott's squad? If he can, I think it's a hell of a referendum on where the AFC East is headed, don't you?
Yeah. I said before the season, I thought the Patriots might be slightly above 500. You're 9-8, 10-7. So far, it's looking like that's going to be the direction they're going in because the Jets are in the fucking toilet, and so are the Dolphins. So for the Patriots, there's 4 wins right there.
And I guess if I have any final thoughts as we wrap this show up, I know so many people want to make this about like the return of Stephon Diggs.
Fuck that guy.
Which tell us how you really feel.
Cardi B sucks too, whatever she does.
Well, I was going to say, I'm like, because I was listening this morning to some podcasts from the New England area, and they were talking about how like Vrabel was praising everybody with something that sounds a lot like Everybody Eats, in the sense that their offense, like they're being praised for how they're being unselfish. You know, hey, we're not overwhelmingly talented, but we're unselfish. We're spreading the ball around. Everybody's just pushing for everybody. And if it's your time, you go out and execute. And if it's not your time, you still go out and execute because the next time around it might be. And that's what the team needs to succeed. And it is funny, Chris, to hear that Stephon Diggs has found his way to a team that all of a sudden embraces that kind of methodology, that kind of ethos, right?
Yeah.
Like, the only time I've ever seen him be unselfish is when he's trying to hand out drugs to girls on a boat. That's it. When he allegedly, let me throw that out there, when he's allegedly sharing drugs on a boat with a group of women. And yet here he is, a part of this thing that they're building in New England, which is supposed to be based around unselfish football. He seems like at his core the antithesis of that, doesn't he?
Yes.
So if Mike Vrabel can get his buy-in on that, to me, that tells me he's a serious head coach.
Yes.
And
Until
in the-
next year when Diggs says, no, I don't buy in anymore.
I can't imagine he'll be there that long, to be honest.
Yeah.
So with that said, I think that this is a very serious contender. We have to take them seriously in terms of what they mean to the damage they can, not even to threaten us for the title, but what they can do to our record. Because we have bigger things at stake. Bigger things than the AFC East title. Can't afford to get derailed now, or have this be one of those games where you overlook your opponent, you don't prepare properly, you just assume, okay, this quarterback, that guy, Stephon Diggs, and then they come out with Hunter Henry and Travion Henderson and they beat you to death. Old school, death by 1,000 paper cuts. And you're left going, wait, now there's how many games between us and the Chiefs? Damn it. Can't have that. I need the more serious organization in this one in terms of preparation and execution to be the Buffalo Bills. I can't wait. I can't wait to see if they have it in them. This will be an interesting first litmus test from Mike Vrabel.
And for McDermott.
I expect
4180 Abbott Road. Tailgating Sunday all day. Scott Vesley's coming with beef jerky.
the best beef jerky on the planet.
Robert Sullivan is bringing us more bourbon from Wyoming. It's going to be a hell of a time. Palmer's is going to be out there. We're making a ton of shit. I'll have 2 cocktails. I think I'm going to do old fashioned and Manhattan.
I love last week. I like that yesterday we got a shout out on Facebook from Pat Cleary talking about it. He's like, I went to the Rockpile tailgate. A guy I met 2 years ago remembered that I wanted a hat and he brought me one. And then John Fina showed up and we drank together. It's like, yeah, we have fun over here at the Rockpile Report tailgate. Yeah. We have a lot of fun. You guys should come check it out. Guys, this has been fun, but we got to get the hell out of here. I'm Drew Gear. That's Chris Kruger. And this has been your Week 5 preview.